Hello, everyone. This will be the last project that we're going to work on for this semester outside of your final project. We're going to be creating a Bluetooth speaker that's portable and rechargeable, and we're actually going to 3D print this, and you're going to build this. So in the coming days, I'll give you a little more details on how it's going to work. But for today, what we're going to do is we're going to build the housing for the speaker, and just so you can see what it looks like. It will look like that when we're done, and I will give you guys um, a little bit more leeway to make some changes if you'd like, make it a little bit more artistic looking. So first thing we need to do is we need to actually get the speaker in. So a lot of times engineers will not recreate things that already exist. So in the case of companies like Adafruit here, where we're going to actually use their speaker, they already have CAD files that exist, and we can just incorporate those into our design. So a lot of times if someone was going to design, let's say, a housing for a computer or a new case for a cell phone, they're not going to design the circuit board and everything else. Someone else has probably already done that. So in this case, instead, they'll use those parts and then use them to dimension things and create things the way they want them to look. So we actually will have this file, and it should be in Google Classroom. So what you need to do is download it. And then once you download it, we're going to import it. So to import it, you're just going to go plus import. And then in this case, I'm going to go to my files where I have it saved. And it should be a .step file, and that's what was attached in Classroom for you. So you have two options. If you import into this document, if we just hit OK there, then what's going to happen is you'll see it pull up in here, and you'll see that there's the speaker. And if I go into Part Studio and I go to Derived, I can then select that part and accept it. And now it's actually in here and I can utilize it. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and create the front for our speaker. So I'm going to create a sketch on the top plane. I'm going to go normal. And I'm actually going to hide the speaker housing for a second and just leave this because that's really what I need. I'm going to create a center point rectangle. And it's going to be 4¼ inches by 5 inches, so somewhat square. And then what I need to do is I need to actually create the sketch of this on that plane. So I'm going to use the use tool. We should be familiar with the use tool. We've used it a lot in the past, so I'm just going to go here and select each of these outlines. Be sure to make sure that you're selecting the entire line and not just the midpoints like these. You actually have to zoom in quite a bit in order to get the entire line. And if you still can't get the line, then just zoom in a little bit. So you don't want to grab these little midpoint dots. Those really aren't going to help you. You need to get the entire line. And so I'm going to go down here, and this should be the last one. Select it. And again, all this is just the use tool. I'm just clicking on it. And if I want to make sure that I got it right, then I can just hide this and I should see the outline exactly the way I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and accept the sketch. I'm then going to extrude this. So I'm going to hit extrude, and I'm going to go the opposite direction since my sketch is on the front. And we're going to do this for 4 inches. And you should see there's an issue, right? So I have a hole. So if I were to try to put the speaker in here, that would not make any sense because it's actually going to sit recessed in here. So I need to make sure that I select this. Now I can leave these holes here because those are the screw mounting holes, which we'll use later on. But I need to make sure that this circle is selected. And for right now, we're actually going to take these mounting holes as well and make sure that they're filled in. So right now, all we want is that circular hole. So we're going to hit accept. and we should have a hole going all the way through it. Now we're going to reuse sketch 1 here in a second, but first we need to shell this. So we want it to be hollow, right? Because we want to be able to get the speakers and everything inside. So what you'll see is this creates a problem, right? So we have this cylinder here that is blocking the way of things. So we have this problem here that we created when we left the hole selected in extrude. So I'm actually going to go back to extrude 1 here, and I'm going to select the circle, accept it. Now my shell's a box, and now I can go back and do extrude, remove, and I'm going to do through all, and I'm going to select the circle. And now I have a perfect hole instead of having to worry about the cylinder. So the order in which you do these things is important. I'm going to accept that, and now I'm going to create my recess in here. So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and create a sketch on the other face and use these lines in order to create my recess. So I'm going to go here, create a sketch, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hide this part 4 so that I can simply go normal and then start using the use button, just like I did with the other one. And now I should be able just to drag and select. Now I have all of those used. So if I accept that and I turn part 4 back on again, I have a sketch here and here now, which will allow me to do my recess. So I'm going to go remove, and I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to do this as a 1/10 of an inch. And one of the things that we need to be cognizant of too is I'm taking 1/10 of an inch off. You look at that, our shell is not really thick enough to be able to handle that. So I'm going to fix that here in a second. So you see it actually takes out part of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our shell, and we're going to make it 0.2. We're going to accept that. And now you'll see that it's actually recessed. Now, the other thing I need to do is remove these holes. We'll do that in just a second. So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to do the same thing, extrude, remove, and then 0.1, and accept. And now I have that recess. So now what I need to do is just do one more extrude, remove, and then I'm going to select this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. And we'll see if I can go over here and select these as well. And you'll see that it doesn't like it because it will only allow me to do one direction. So I'm going to go back in here and get rid of this, 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 this. Accept. Those are removed. Now I could do through all. I just like using this side and doing the sketch, but you could do it either way you wanted. Regardless, they should be gone. So I'm going to accept, and now I have my holes for my speaker. So we're very close to being done with this housing, and it did not take us very long to make it. So the next steps are going to be to create a lid for this housing, and then we're going to do our called screw bosses that will actually allow us to put threaded screws where these holes are, so that we don't have to try to use a nut and a screw. It makes it a lot easier. We will do the screw bosses next class. Your responsibility between now and next class is to make a 1/4 inch thick lid that will go on top of this box. So again, you must turn in at the end of class the entire speaker box that we just did, plus a lid. It doesn't have to have holes or anything in it, but just a 1/4 inch thick lid that will go on top of this as a separate part. I'm going to go ahead, and before we wrap up, I'm going to call this the housing, and make sure that you name your lid. So one more time, create this box, then create a 1/4 inch lid to go on top of it and rename it lid, and then turn that file in. The way that you'll need to turn it in is the same as always. So just follow the instructions on the daily planner, and I will see you next class for the wrap up of our speaker box.